He's a big part of why I am where I am. So let's go Tallman.
That
I had
bagel
to get that
sandwich.
endorsement on the recording, so
That's
thank you for making that, Kevin.
right.
So just real quickly, since I've got you off mute here, when you started in the business, I know you've told, I think, the Indiana team this, but you actually sought out Mr. Matt Tallman and went down and had lunch with him, right?
Yep.
You want to tell that story a little bit?
That was pretty much it. It was one of the shortest lunches I've ever had in my life. But it was yeah, he took me to I think it was Panera up in South Bend. And I sat down because he had crushed it the last AEP. And so I was like, I want to do that. I want to be that guy. And so I took him to lunch and he was taking a bite of his sandwich. And I said, so give me all your like wisdom, man. What's going on? And he said, live transfers. Took another bite, and that was about it. That was about the extent of our conversation that year. So yeah, I drove an hour and a half to hear two words. But I will say that summer, and this is something like I know this is Matt's time, but Matt really like that AEP really pushed me like he would text me at like 7 o'clock at night during AEP and say, "You're not going home yet, are you? I still have two more appointments." And so he really pushed me in that. So I would encourage that for you guys. Find somebody that can push you and hold you accountable, keep each other accountable during AEP because it really did help. And I think we both pushed what 160 apps through that AEP.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
incredible. So anyway, I'll
Nope.
shut up now. It's Matt's turn. It's Matt's time.
No, that was great. I know that was a lot of fun watching you guys back and forth that AEP, and I think it's continued at some level. So as we kind of get started here this morning, welcome everybody. I apologize I was a few minutes late. I'm going to make some announcements at the end of the call, just about some things that I think you need to be updated on. But I really want to spend the majority of our time today, with continuing the summer speaker series that we've started. I am going to be sharing the past videos with all of you. So we've had some great content, some great speakers. Thank you to everybody who's contributed so far on this. But I'd asked Matt Tallman to step in today. I looked across the top of our agents and, our tier 4 agents. And candidly, I hadn't brought Matt in recently to share his story and talk with everybody a little bit about what he's done to, achieve the successes that he has. Matt actually came from a deep background in competition. He was a college swimmer and a coach of elite athletes prior to coming into the insurance business. And I'll let him tell his story a little bit. But I'm really excited to have you here today, Matt. Thank you for joining us. I know I know I didn't get the invitation out as early as I could have, so I apologize that I was running a little behind on that. But thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, anytime, whatever you need.
So I want to just kind of start off with a little bit about your background, your story. I say this regularly. I think everybody has a unique path or journey that they take to end up landing where they land in their career and in their life. And so I always think it's fun to share that and understand that a little bit. So you want to just give us some background? Where did Matt Tallman come from and what led him to where you're at today?
Sure. I mean, kind of an interesting time to have me just because of what's going on in the world with the Olympics. But so I, like Silas said, I was a collegiate swimmer. From there, I went to coached at 4 different universities. Most recently, but ending 8 years ago, I was a head coach at Notre Dame for men's swimming. That role over 20 years, 22 years, um, believe it or not, is a lot of sales because you are recruiting nonstop and just trying to convince people to come be a part of what you have to offer. So when I stopped coaching, some sort of sales role was the most likely landing spot. I did work with another insurance agency for a brief period of time, but then Tony Letcher and I had a mutual friend, and they were talking, and word got back to me, and Tony and I met, and then I got to meet with Silas, and it seemed like a no-brainer for me, and Silas was kind enough to offer me a spot, and I guess here we are.
So I'm just curious, kind of going back a little bit. You're not from Indiana, right?
No, I grew up just outside of Philadelphia in New Jersey.
Okay. So I don't know if there are too many other people on the call today that have competed at an elite college level and then coached and spent that much time, coaching athletes at that level. I'm just kind of maybe interested, and this wasn't one of the questions that I even thought about asking you until now, but I'm a big believer in coaching. I believe that coaching in my career has really propelled me to where I'm at today. And so I don't know, do you have any thoughts? I mean, after, being an elite level coach for that period of time, maybe things that you pulled from that, how beneficial is coaching? I just think you have a uniquely different perspective than most of us about, coaching and the benefits of coaching, especially when you think about being an elite athlete or an elite member of your profession or whatever it might be. So do you have any thoughts around that?
Well, I mean, absorbing whatever your coach feeds to you is important as the student, I guess. I mean, you do a great job at keeping us up to date on everything. And I don't know, my coaches, I always just believed in them. I went where I went to school because my coach sold me, and if he had told me to run my head through a wall and that would make me swim faster, that's what I would have done. In our line of work, you just need to know the products and get taught the products like we do, like having the different carriers come in and absorb that knowledge, but also you can learn from your teammates too, which I think is a big piece of our success in this area. I don't know how the other teams work, but I would I would tend to believe that our team is somewhat unique in just how much we all coach each other and share with each other. Um, so um, yeah, I mean, you need to be a student of your game, and so you're a student from your coach or your teacher, and so whoever you consider to be above you or even a mentor that you can learn from is certainly important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time over the coming weeks, kind of re-energizing this idea of coaching. I have a personal business coach myself, Cliff Carthauser. Many of you jump in on our best practices sessions. And we've got another one coming up here, so I'd encourage you guys carve time out for that. But I think it's a really important part of developing yourself at whatever level you're at. And I've said this a lot, but you look across anybody who's successful in whatever it is they do, and you look at those top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of whether it's an athlete or it's in business or whatever it might be, most of those people have coaches and people that they're leaning on regularly and people that are pouring into them and helping them look at things through a different lens. So honestly, Matt, I think your experience in competitive sport, both yourself and then coaching, I think led you to the success that you've had here in this particular career. I know you mentioned you came from another insurance agency, so I'm just interested in kind of your perspective a little bit about what makes Health Markets unique and special. I think you had an interesting experience with another agency and then kind of came here, and I think it was uniquely different. So do you want to share your thoughts around that a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, I started with a pretty much life only company, American Income, and I think Health Markets just offers a lot more. First off, I think it's easier, although I have no FYCRs in 2024 on life insurance yet, but I'm working on that. I think it is easier to start with health insurance and let that open the door than the other way around. Life insurance is, I think, very difficult to sell as like a single product. We had very small amount of little supplemental things, but that company, I don't know, it was just different. I mean, we were in the office Mondays and Thursdays for like 9 hours just making phone calls, and I hate making phone calls, and I think it's because of that of that role. Back to my coaching days, I mean, July 1st was the start of the recruiting cycle for every year for the new crop of people, and I loved being on the phone for that. And I just did it and did it and did it. But my 6 months or so with that other company, and I hate making these phone calls now. So thankfully I have an assistant and we're gonna get back on phone calls, but she's gonna do them. But yeah, I mean, it was a good experience. I got my license. I got my license quickly. It took a week. I mean, what is that company called? Exam FX. I mean, I did that and it took a week. Started on Monday, took the test Friday, passed by the skin of my teeth. So that was the one huge benefit other than just having appointments and getting some lingo down to be comfortable meeting with people about a new industry. But otherwise, health markets is just so grossly different than what that experience was.
Yeah. I want to go back to the very beginning when you started with health markets, because you really started from a standstill for all real purposes. And I want to think about, because I know it's uniquely different what you do today, being a tier 4 agent and the investments you make, but what were those granular activities that you did early in your career do you think got you off the ground and got you going in that first, 30, 60, 90, 120 days that you're in the business?
So my first sale was at the end of March of 2018, which I do think that timing is really good that you get 6 months under your belt and get used to some things if you want to start like Medicare kind of right away, which I was able to do. But in those first 6 months, I mean, I did the driving around the with what do we call them? The take ones or mailbox drops and walk and talks and all of those type of activities. I mean, I tried them all along with phone calls with the leads that were coming in and different lists that I had. I mean, I was able to bring a little bit of a list with me from the other place, but not anything crazy. But yeah, just the basic things that you talk about in the training with people. I mean, I tried it all, did it all, and had some relative success. Um, but then I did jump in because of the timeline. Like I said, if I'd started in like August or something, I probably wouldn't have done Medicare that first fall. But having 6 months ahead of time, uh, getting into that was a good thing too.
Yeah, absolutely. So today, looking at your practice, do you have a storefront? Are
I
you
do.
What's
Yep.
it look?
Ireland Road, 411 East Ireland in South Bend.
So do you do most of your business face to face then?
Um, I would like to think so now. Face to face and phone. I don't really use Zoom that much. I've done it a couple times. I would say most is probably face to face. More and more people seem to be comfortable on the phone though too. Probably a post-COVID situation. Uh, I just don't even bring up Zoom all that much, to be honest with you. But I would do it. It just doesn't end up being that way.
Right. I know you were a bit of a road dog in the early months and years, right? You traveled a lot.
Yeah, that was especially during the enrollment periods. I mean, I will tell anybody that's new on the call, um, I drove anywhere at any time. I was not efficient about it. I was probably stupid about it. I can tell you there was a day that I was in like LaPorte and Fort Wayne on the same day. Like it, but if it meant points and money and whatever I had to do, I somewhat, I don't know about unique, but like my wife's got a pretty good job. So that helped in that regard. But at the same time, I think the first AEP, I put like 35,000 miles on my truck. But I took live transfers, like Kevin said. And if a call came in and I was driving, I pulled over and I had this spreadsheet I made of a sheet per week with time slot. It was a calendar. And whatever the open calendar was, like I answered the call and won it. And somehow my phone did a really good job that year of being able to answer calls. I've heard different reasons why that may or may not have been with technology, but I know Silas, when I was getting into um, Medicare for the first time, I was just like, how many of these policies do you think is a good number to sell? And he told me 30. and I did 78. And it was just busting my ass. I mean, work works. And when you're starting your first 18 months, if there's any time that you have to say no to an appointment, then you need to maybe reconsider some things. But that's all I did. I mean, and then every time you get a sale, every few sales, one of those people, if you're doing the right thing, is going to give your name to somebody, and it's just a domino effect. So yeah, back to your comment was yes. I would say the first 2 to 3 AEPs, I did not hesitate to pretty much go anywhere at any time.
Yep. And there's probably some sacrifice at home that had to happen for you to be able to do that, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, kids, I mean, Hannah's now 23, but that was so 6 years ago. Yeah, she was in the middle of high school. So she was about to start driving, which made things a little easier there. But I mean, Martin was 11. So we all know, there's a lot kids in grade school need a lot, but my wife was able to do some things. She was working closer to home, I think, when we first started. Then now she's in Elkhart and switched maybe a year into me being this. She switched a job too. But yeah, I mean, she was able to handle a lot, which was great.
So just kind of basic numbers, like how many appointments are you running per week right now outside of open?
Right now, so we're gonna put a disclaimer on this, everybody. It was a bit of a joke for a while. It's gotten a little better. I coached my son's travel baseball team since he was 9 years old. That ended a week and a half ago for this summer, but then I went to New Jersey for a week to see family. So in the summer when baseball's going on, I would say it's probably like 4 to 6. But when it's like spring and things and not quite, and now he's in high school, so I don't coach until high school season and the school year's over, so that's helped. But I would say eight or nine when it's not AEP and not baseball, like January to May or June, which is a good number for me, I think.
Yeah. What's AEP look like for you? I mean, I know you're running hard and we all are, but what's a typical week look like during AEP as far as appointment count?
Oh, I mean, it's all day. I mean, the only thing I can remember is that year that Kevin and I, when I was busting his chops day in and day out, I mean, I sold 14 plans on the last day of AEP. I don't know that I sold to everybody. So like that's 14 appointments or more that day. But I would say during AEP, it's probably an average of 8 to 10
Per day.
Yeah, probably.
Yep. Yeah. It
Some
definitely
of those now, I mean, where my practice is now, some of those could end up just being an existing client wanting to come in and be reassured that what they've got is where they need to be. But I'm trying to, as we all are, trying to figure out a way to consolidate that maybe into bigger group meetings and stuff, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, for sure. So where are most of your incoming leads coming from today?
My marketing and referrals. I mean,
Are you buying any leads?
I'm sorry?
Are you buying any leads today?
I have not bought a lead outside of live transfers during AEP for any assistant of mine to answer in a few years. So 2018 March, and now we're to 2024. Yeah, well, I guess what was the year that the live transfers kind of changed? Yeah, it was probably 3 AEPs ago. When that was done, I also kind of stopped buying any other kind of leads, but continued during AEP.
Yeah. So what are you doing to drive new client referrals? I know that's a huge part of what you do, and you seem to do it with a little effort. At least from my perspective, the referrals you have coming in. So, is there a process? Is there something you're doing? Is there something you can attribute to why you get the level of referrals you do?
To be honest with you, I think I just have a good relationship with my clients. I think maybe you call it coaching when you're dealing with them, but like just the way I interact with them and stay connected with them, they all trust me and know. I mean, I started about a year ago to actually keep track of it, I keep a bunch of different spreadsheets with a bunch of different information. Or I should say one with a bunch of tabs as opposed to you that has one for like the month they were born and the day they were born and the year they were born. I have it all in one. But I put a column on the end that a referral column just to say where they came from. But between as you call it, branding myself as opposed to marketing myself, and then when somebody comes in, just making it easy on them, and making them feel comfortable, then they know that their friends would be comfortable too. Um, Educating them enough, coaching them enough to understand everything, and then just goes from there. But I do, and I guess what Kevin does, I started sending out a magazine every quarter or so that the inside of the back cover and the back cover is like dedicated to send me referrals, you're a top client, send me your people kind of thing. But I do send out some letters every once in a while um, on my own. I do send a letter every year to former clients as well. Just kind of saying not sure why we aren't together anymore, but if you need some help. And last year when I did that, I want to say like 15 people came back. So
That's great. That's
yeah,
something I don't think we talk enough about. That outreach to past clients as well. So how do you keep track of those past clients? Do you have a list where you kind of keep track in the moment? Or what's that look like?
right behind me here is a drawer that has I keep paper files for everything. I did hire a child of my buddy's son. It's at IU for this summer to upload every sheet of paper into the CRM. So I'm going to try to do things more the right way, quote unquote. But if somebody's policy lapses or gets switched out or anything, I still have their folder, and I have a under 65 category and a Medicare category. And actually, Laura just yesterday completed kind of auditing that to make a spreadsheet. Um, so yeah, I just keep an eye on my book of business all the time from all the different carriers.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk a little bit about advertising and marketing. I know this has evolved for you. I don't remember what the first thing that you did was, but this has snowballed, I feel like, every single year where as you make more, you're investing more back into the business. So do you want to maybe tell that story a little bit about how that evolved for you and give us an idea of where you're making, key investments today when it comes to marketing and advertising?
Yeah, sure. I don't remember where the first thing I did. And going backwards, I can tell you the most recent like major thing I did or do is I am all over Blackthorn Golf Course. Um, I'm at Four Winds Field with the Cubs.
When you say all over Blackthorn, what do you mean? Like specifically?
They play my commercial on every golf cart. I think it's after like the 13th hole. It just when you hit a certain part on their GPS, it triggers to play my commercial. Every hole, the 18 holes, the actual cups. On Marketing on Demand, you can buy like a water bottle wrapper, and I printed those out, and they put them inside the cups. So when somebody makes a putt, they see my name and phone number. Uh, in their pro shop and little bar and grill area, they have TVs, so my commercial plays on there. Um, every blast email they send out has my stuff on it. It's just a whole total package that on their scoreboard where they have outings when they're posting the scores above it has, I think there's 6 sponsors of the course. You know, I'm on there. So kind of blanketed all over the place, all over that place.
And then you mentioned Four Winds Field. What are you doing there? That's a semi-pro baseball team, right?
Yeah, so I have a billboard on the left field wall. They play my commercial, and I have a printed ad in the game program.
And that's something you've been doing for a couple of years now, right?
I think this is year 3. Yep.
Okay. What else?
I've done different magazines, local magazines. I've done different golf course ads at other places. But I have and then my commercials. I have one radio spot on Pulse FM. I do some WSBT, and I was doing TV 46, but that is changing to Spanish speaking Univision. So hopefully, I know my rep and Raquel are meeting on Thursday, so hopefully she can kind of take over that spot.
Yeah.
But,
what about Kroger?
oh yeah. Thanks. Forgot. I'm on all the shopping carts at Kroger. So when they're pushing their groceries around, they get to see me, and I get pictures from clients and friends and all kinds of people all the time. Texts. Oh, look at this guy with like a picture of my cart or a picture of my billboard here or there. So it all gets around pretty good.
That idea.
I'm sorry.
Who introduced you to that idea?
Was that also McIntyre?
I think so. Actually,
hey, I know that 3 bites of 2-word lunch that we had was beneficial to both of us.
So Nicole asked, do you have any? I think she's looking for like rate of return or return on investment on the grocery carts.
I just finished the first year of that. I don't know. I asked pretty much everybody where they got my name, and it seems like most people have mentioned a couple spots. Like you tell me, like I brand, not market. And so I don't know anybody that's simply come here and said, oh, I saw you at Kroger, but it's like a combination of the few different things that I'm doing.
And I think that's a really important point to make. And I'll say this, especially for newer agents or agents who are looking to build their business. I think there's a uniquely different approach when you think about lead generation or branding, right? Lead generation, you're looking for a specific return on investment. And sometimes, when you're branding yourself and doing some of these things like, being on the outfield of the South Cubs and being on the Kroger carts and running television ads and running radio and, all those different things together, that's more branding. And it's candidly hard to track and monitor a return on investment around that. I've seen Matt and a lot of our other top tier 4 agents, though. They've begun, and it's a much bigger thing to think about branding yourself, right? And when you think about that, I always go back to success in marketing is probably achieved through 1,000 different tactics. There's no magic bullet. There is no silver bullet on this. It's a matter of getting your information out there in a community and really making yourself visible so that when a client comes in, and I agree with you, Matt, a lot of the clients, I'm like, where did you hear about me? And they're like, well, I talked to so-and-so and they told me, and then I saw this here. And, it's a layering effect. It's a matter of them seeing you several different places. And some of those places, they may never even mention that they saw you. And it might even be a subliminal thing where they don't even realize that they saw you there, but then they see you here and here and here. And then somebody says, hey, you should go talk to Matt. And that's how they end up landing on your doorstep, I think.
Yeah, I
go
would
ahead.
tell you, like, the first branding step was the commercials, and Tony had done them, and Derek and Ray, and
TV
somebody had
specifically,
said to
right?
me, like, you're probably going to have to invest in this for about a year before you ever even really hear anybody tell you that they're calling you because of that. But and it was, I would say, 10 or 11 months before it kind of was hitting repeatedly. And that part of that is just, in our line of work, there's a lot of people that don't make it. but they try those marketing or advertising tactics or whatever word you want to use, but they want to make sure that they're seeing you for long enough to make sure you're going to be around too. So that's why some of that stuff, the return on investment is harder to tell too, because you have to invest for a longer period of time.
Well, and I've seen you and other top agents, though, without having exact data that I'm selling X and making X based on this investment that I'm making, you've seen enough value in it that you continued to make and enhance the investment year over year, right?
Just to pull out one of my shared numbers with you, I mean, I'll tell you guys, my earnings are up over 30% year to date right now. And that's for a number of reasons, but 30% of what I made last year is a lot more than what I spent on advertising last year, or marketing and advertising. So
You mind sharing like what kind of numbers you're spending annually on marketing and advertising?
last year when I did my taxes, I was actually shocked about it, but it was like 65 grand that I spent. But that was significantly higher than the year before, which was significantly higher than the year before.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so
Well,
I may cut. I don't think I'm going to necessarily increase that as much as I have, like going into 2025. I think I'm at a pretty good place to maybe keep more of my money. But I'm always open to ideas. Like when I hear things, like the Blackthorn thing just kind of came up. Like I live a couple miles from there. I play there enough. I'm friends with the general manager, and he just threw the idea by me. Well, I guess I brought up playing the commercial, but the other pieces of it, he put together the idea of the whole kind of package.
yeah. Let's talk a little bit about cross-selling. I mean, I don't think you can be a tier 4 agent or make the kind of income that you're making without a significant cross-sell. Now, for most people, I'd say, how do you cross-sell into supplemental and life insurance? But I think we're just going to focus on supplemental insurance with you today, Matthew. So, but I'd love to hear just a little bit of like, what's your philosophy on supplemental insurance? How do you present it? How do you talk about it? Why is it important to you and to the client? Maybe a little bit of background and context around that, just from your perspective.
Well, the number one piece of it is nobody's going to buy it from you if you don't bring it up. If they don't know it exists, there's no way to sell it. My To all of you, I would say my book of business is probably 80 20 Medicare ACA. So very heavy on the Medicare side. I just think I present hospital wise, cancer plans and accident plans at a minimum, those three to everyone. It's just part of my presentation. One thing I think every potential client says to me now during my Medicare presentation, I write on the piece of paper in front of me upside down. And they're like, man, you write better upside down than most people do right side up. And it's just part of my spiel. And you got the base at the top of A and B, and there's two sides, and the one on the MAPD side, you fill the gaps with hospital-wise cancer. You don't have to do these, but this is how to do that. I mean, you guys all know or should know how they work, but you just need to present them and why they're important. I do think they are important on the ACA side. I've gotten better with presenting the supplements too, but again, if you don't bring them up, nobody's going to get them. I would rather sell a cancer plan than a dental plan, but on the ACA side, everybody seems to think they need dental and vision because it's what they got from work or whatnot. But yeah, it's just a matter of bringing it up and explaining to them why they're important. I stole this. I see Derek side of his head there is he's not paying attention, but he's actually there. I stole something that he said in one of our meetings, I'm here to make sure that you know everything that's available. Because the last thing that we can afford to have is, you get cancer and one of your friends says, well, we have a cancer plan. Do you have one of those? Well, no, my agent never brought that up to me. And then my business goes down the crapper because they broadcast that to everybody instead of how much I'm educating them and making sure. So my role is to make sure you know everything that's available to you, but the final decision is yours on what policies we applied for you to get.
And my takeaway from that is it's super simple to just show it 100% of the time, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So
It takes an extra 5 to 10 minutes to present a couple more things. And if it
Right.
takes another half hour because you have 2 more applications to do, you're making more money and they're better covered. So deal with it.
Right. 100%. So do you have any maybe interesting claim stories from a supplemental perspective, or anything that jumps out as far as, someone that's really benefited from you just taking the time to show them a specific supplemental product? Anything that pops in your mind?
I don't have any, no, I have one cancer policy that's been claimed. And then otherwise, it's just some hospital-wise things, to be honest with you here now. I have a couple more crazy stories of people not wanting something or not getting it and then having needed it and it being a terrible outcome. I have a couple of those, but mostly in the life insurance side of things. But yeah, I'm starting to get more claims on things, but it takes a little while because you need to have enough clients for that to happen. And actually, if you don't have people making claims, then that's actually a good thing too, because then they're staying healthy. So yeah, fortunately, I haven't had too many things to do.
Yeah. So do you have a post-sale process? Like once you make a sale with a client, what does it look like from that point forward? How do you handle clients once you make a sale to them?
That is something that definitely is part of my need to be better, but I do send out a thank you card that has a business card in it, and I do follow up with an email too, but I don't do a good enough 30, 60, 90 process, and I need to. I will show you though, Si. This thing, I think I showed you one time that I used to run my thank you cards through my printer, so I didn't have to handwrite them all, but it was my handwriting and I scanned it. Well, the new marketing on demand glossy thank you cards don't go through a printer. So I had a local stamp shop make my handwriting, and all I got to do is stamp my thank you cards. It'd be like $80.
What's the verbiage on there? What does it say?
Thank you for allowing me to assist in your 2024, well, this is an old one, but Medicare plan selection. Call anytime that you have questions. Please pass my info along to anyone needing help. Thanks, Matthew Tallman.
Nice.
A little different than that because I generalized it on the stamp, so it's kind of for ACA and Medicare, but that's what the old one said.
That's actually a great idea. I've never seen a stamp that large. So you have an enormous stamp pad then too, huh?
That's what that is. This is the pad. No, it's like the ink is in here and it's the exact size of the thank you card, and I just stamp it.
Ah, genius. Never even thought of that before.
You can learn a lot from me, Silas.
Here I've been handwriting or paying someone to handwrite thank you cards for me for 2.3 decades. So that's great. So as far as looking forward in your practice, I know you mentioned the fact that you're up 30% year over year. And I got to give you kudos, Tallman, because out of all the agents I've worked with over the years, you are the most disciplined about tracking your numbers and knowing your numbers. You send me, if not once, maybe twice a month, an update on where you're at. You maybe want to talk about why tracking numbers is important to you, and what some of the key metrics are that you do track in your business.
Well, I just think it's the competitiveness and wanting to make sure, um, the easiest thing to do is just compare month, like July of 24 to July of 23, and just beating numbers. Um, but there's obviously people, if you guys as new or relatively new people, don't take a look at like our team list and numbers and have just somebody always in your sights, that you think is a peer or somebody that you'd like to be on track with. And um, this is a numbers game. I mean, I tell my clients all the time too. I mean, all of the policies are math. You want to have the most coverage for the least amount of money. I mean, all of this is just a big equation. I was a big math guy in school. And I was, like an athlete and a coach. So just competition is just always in my head. I don't like to lose. Um, I take some time off here and there that affects things, but I'm at the point now that I'm very comfortable, but at the same time, getting back, Dan and I were going back and forth. I mean, getting to go to Italy, at the turn of the year, I would have never guessed I was going to be even close to getting to Italy. And then by the time it was kind of like wow, this might happen. It was like, okay, bust your ass now. Like, and it was like an every week thing of just looking at numbers and seeing where you are. And it was like that in the very beginning. I mean, I got to tier 3 really quickly and tier 4 pretty quickly, but then fell back to tier 3 for a while. But it was kind of a comfort thing, and income is always going to be the most important thing, because you got to worry about family and stuff and making sure everything's going smoothly. And as long as you keep your clients on the books, the income can go up. And when I fell back to tier 3, it didn't really affect me too much there. But I just like to beat things. And then there was that extra text from you about 15 months ago that I was like, oh well, I'll show this guy. Silas sent me a text concerned about my numbers, and he didn't need to be. So that's why I text him now.
That's why I get 1 or 2 texts a month of exactly where his numbers are at. So, not that I asked for that, but it's always fun to see it. So you want to tell some of the newbies, like what kind of a trajectory you've been on income wise? I mean, you talk about a 30% increase this year. That's like mind boggling this deep into the, your career, but
Yeah, can I just mention one thing? So, and I've shared this with a couple people over the years that asked me, because I think you brought it up a while back. Like, the one thing that keeps my numbers going, like I have a spreadsheet that is just person's name, their phone number, the day they applied, the day it's going in force, what policy it is. Then it has the day I got paid on it, and the day, if it's like on the Medicare tab, if it's a second payment. And I keep those boxes of payment colored, like shaded, so that I can easily recognize if I haven't been paid on it yet. But then I go back and I check my book of business too when something's canceled and look at those. And Silas has been privy to a few emails I've had to send to home office and stuff. But if you're not tracking your business, like, and to throw Derek under the bus, like too many people, when they get into this and are making a lot and they're high, high ranking and everything, like, oh well, losing a few people, like, they don't have the time to track it. But you know what? That's money and points that you're just losing and throwing away, that are, I don't think they're that hard to track. I mean, being on top of your business is important. Because there's been times when I've actually had stuff fall off the books and the client didn't even know that something changed. Like, I've had clients get phone calls and in a stupid regard answer some questions to somebody, but then they never use the policy because they're healthy. But 2 months later, something came up and they need to go use it, and they use the card I signed up, I signed them up for, and they've got some other insurance somehow. I mean, there's all different reasons that you should be tracking things at least quarterly, if not a little more often. But so back to your question, I guess. So I was tier 3 within 11 months, and tier 4 was, I think, 30 months, somewhere just inside of 3 years. But whatever that was, if it was 30 months to tier 4, like 32 or 33 months, I was back to tier 3. I will say, as I mentioned before, my condensed time of the year that I have to deal with my son's baseball team certainly helped. I mean, I got back to tier 4, and then I probably spend 2 less months with him and just watching when he has games, as opposed to having to run practices and travel as much all over the place. So that just opened up more opportunity. But if you study your business, and especially in Medicare, if you keep your clients happy and keep them on your books, like, you keep getting paid for them over and over again. So if you add anybody and still have them, your income is going to increase. I mean, I'm up 30%, but I don't know if only 10% of it is because of new business this year. I mean, a big chunk of that every year is just keeping your clients happy and keeping them enrolled. Because even if you switch somebody, it's not making new money. So, I mean, there's all different measurements to use. But again, my biggest one is earnings. How much money am I bringing in? And
what report do you use to pull that from?
the earnings summary on the Resource Center.
Yep.
Because it gives me month by month. So I go, and you can go year by year. So I go to 2024 and write down the number in 2023 and compare the numbers and divide them. Silas, I'm up this much July 24 to July 23, and this month, year to date, 2023, and where I am 2024.
Yep.
And
I think once you get into your second year, you've got that first year benchmark to work against, where you can look at the last year's earnings summary versus this year's.
Yep.
That starts to help you develop some data points on where where the trajectory of your business is headed. So have you ever had a year that your income went backwards?
No. No.
I feel like I offended you.
Well, again, I mean, if somebody lasts long enough, I don't know, do people do that?
Not usually.
I mean, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but if your income goes backwards again, you need to sit down with some folks, and either your peers or people at the top of the food chain, and ask a lot of questions, because it should not go backwards. Increasing 5% is one thing, but when you're in your first couple years, I mean, I think because you're earning, or your W-2 is based on earnings, not so. I mean, that's always should go up just because of the way we're paid. Like, it's not on advances, it's on actual months that they keep the policy.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know. That would baffle me if that happened.
Agreed. And it shouldn't, right? So kind of last question here. I mean, I know you've obviously been a mentor to a lot of agents around you. You've observed other agents and how their trajectory in the business, and seen people have success and seen people flame out in this business. But do you have any thoughts around, things that you believe most agents could do to grow their business that maybe they're not? Just from a guy with your perspective and your tenure in the business, like, what do you think are the real keys that a new agent needs to latch onto, to build a successful practice?
Well, one thing that part of what you said, I just came to mind about my time here, that I don't know if this is answering your question or not, but I can tell you that definitely in my first enrollment period, if I was out driving home from like Valpo or something, I probably spent, and you probably you know, received a lot of them too, but I can tell you, like Tony and Clinton Cooper, I probably was on the phone with them almost every night, just about like, well, this is how this appointment went, and like just or should I have done it this way, or what was this enrollment, like just different things. And like, and I mentioned this before about not knowing how other teams do it, but like, I mean, those two guys answering the phone every time I called was huge to where I got and how quickly I got there, you know, because it's just everybody's helping one another. We're all independent and we all want to, in some capacity, beat one another, but us beating one another makes the team stronger and our team stats better. I mean, uh, but that was definitely, and even Derek, I mean, Derek will tell you, I don't think he's ever actually been able to answer one of my questions, but I do call him a lot. Uh, but but no, that was huge in the very beginning. And that's why, as little as I have brought to the table to answer people's questions like McIntyre's situation and stuff, I'm definitely willing to do it, is because those guys were there for me. So it was important.
And what
Now
advice would you give to newbies?
work. One thing, but work correctly. Because one thing that I tell the boys all the time, like one of my least favorite expressions in the world is practice makes perfect. Because if you practice incorrectly, you're not perfecting anything. Like you need to actually, perfect makes perfect. But so don't kid yourself by just like being in an office or sitting on the phone or sitting by the phone. Like work and work correctly and work in a way that's going to be productive. Like my wife this morning busted my chops because, full disclosure, I'm going to play golf when this call's over. And I'm in shorts and she's like, "Oh, look who's not going to work and make any money today." And I said, "No, I'm setting myself up to make money though, because I was in this office at 7 o'clock and I did 4 carrier tests, you know, and stuff like so just be productive in the time that you're spending on your craft. Just don't be lazy about it. When you're there to do something, do something."
I was talking to Dan Blackator last night, and I know you and him are cellmates there, right? So
Yeah.
spent a lot of time together. But Dan said something that that I think was very true. It's very easy to look busy in this business without getting anything done, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of new agents get caught up in that. If your wife was watching from the periphery or your husband was watching, they might think you're really busy, but are you doing things that are going to drive revenue? Are you running appointments, scheduling appointments, or marketing your business? And that's kind of a lens that only you can look at the business through. And so I totally agree with you. Well, man, I've appreciated your time today. I've appreciated your candor. I know you say it how it is, and I've always appreciated that about you. It's been fun getting to, obviously getting into business with you over the last number of years, but becoming friends with you as well. Do you have any final thoughts for this crew before we kind of wrap things up this morning?
I mean, just like what I said, I mean, I was able to reach out to just about anybody to answer my issues, questions, concerned in the beginning. So if any of you guys ever have questions, don't hesitate. Swing by the office if you're in South Bend, or give me a call or an email. And if I think I can help you, I will definitely do so myself or guide you in a direction to get the answers that you need.
Well, I'd encourage new agents, like reach out to some of these agents and say, "Hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee? Can we go to lunch?" Scott or Kevin McIntyre drove up from Fort Wayne to South Bend to have lunch with Matt in the early days of his career to figure that out. I know that's something that Cole. I saw you asked a question about a spreadsheet. I'd encourage you, reach out to Matt, talk to him about it. He may be able to share some things with you about what he has in his spreadsheet that he tracks.
The only the only real thing I remember about McIntyre's situation, and other than us going back and forth during the enrollment period, was we were at, I think, Morris Park when Wes came to talk, and I happened to be standing there, and he told you like his goal or something. And I like, don't sell yourselves short either. There's a lot more time in the day to get to, like, he threw out some number and I was just like, well, if you can do that many, why can't you do this many? And he was like, oh, okay. And then we both blew that number out. So like, there's a lot of time, especially during the enrollment period, to be as successful as you want to be. It's just be efficient and be smart about it.
Yep, 100%. So Tallman, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here. We'll kind of wrap things up. I got a couple of quick announcements I just want to throw out there. Number one, the FFM certification, federally facilitated marketplace training, is now live for everyone. Last week when I announced that it was live, it was really only live for returning agents. Now it's live for everyone. So if you're a new agent, you haven't gotten your FFM certification done yet, jump in and get that knocked out. It's not too difficult. Also on the, one thing I wanted to mention on that is when you go through the FFM certification on the ACA consent form, there's training in there that says you have to have 2 consent forms, one at the beginning of the meeting and then one at the end of the meeting. The Health Markets consent form is a combination of both of those. So as long as you're using the consent form that's available through the e-signature platform, that's available in a PDF on the Resource Center, or that you do through Quote Connect, those satisfy both requirements on the ACA consent. We had our legal team kind of combine the two, and I confirmed that this morning on the TVP call. So get that FFM certification knocked out. Also, if you are in Medicare and you have a significant UHC book of business, those have now been distributed again, the book of business via email. Everybody should have gotten that. It came through a secure system. We kind of had to figure out how to deliver that because so much PHI is attached to it. But everybody should have those in their inbox now to be able to compare and get ready for Q4. We are going to be launching some trainings here in the next couple of weeks around Health Sherpa. Health Sherpa is the new enhanced direct enrollment platform that we're going to be using for this coming open enrollment period in the under 65 space. It's going to cut our application process time in half and give us better visibility and better ability to manage our clients. So I'm excited about that. I would tell every single person on this call, you need to be on those Health Sherpa trainings as Health Markets announces them and corporate announces them. And then last but not least, we're putting the final documentation together around launching a program called Retire Flow. It's going to be and kind of an add-on to Connecture for those of us who are operating in the Medicare space. So I would expect an announcement, hopefully in the next week or two around that, and we'll begin onboarding agents with Retire Flow as well. So a lot of great things coming from a technology perspective. I have put out some notes. Make sure you are involved. There are some national calls that are now scheduled. Health Markets had sent those out, so make sure that you're jumping on those. There's a marketing on demand call today. If you're not yet familiar with the marketing on demand platform, you want to see the new stuff. I think that's at noon our time today, and Health Markets has sent out a communication around that. And then last but not least, I had sent out an email, and we need to get RSVPs and everything around our territory AEP kickoff event. That's actually scheduled for September 27th here in Indiana. It's going to be a big event. Dan Garrison, our president and CEO, is flying in for the event. Cliff Karthauser, my personal business coach, is going to be here live as well. So both Dan and Cliff are going to be here in person live to speak with the team. So we really want you there in person if at all possible. So I just encourage you, if you haven't RSVP'd on that, find the email. Just look for RSVP and South Bend, maybe in your email. That'd be the search string that should bring that email up for me, so you can RSVP to my staff on that. With that, though, I know we're a couple of minutes over. Appreciate you guys hanging with us today. I'm putting something together for next week. Next week's ADT might last a little bit longer because I've got a life insurance training that I'm trying to get scheduled in. I'll be sure and try to give you guys some heads up around that, but it might run 90 minutes instead of 60 minutes next week. But I hope to have that locked down in the next 24 hours here. So I appreciate y'all engaging. I hope you have a great week. Go out there and focus on revenue driving activities. Thanks again, Tallman. Appreciate you being here, man.
Yep.
Take care.
See ya.
See ya.